Boom. Cool. All right, so thank you for coming on, Allan.
Yeah, no worries, man.
Heck
Thank you for
yeah.
having me.
Absolutely, man. You're our fifth interview. So this is
Nice.
cool. We're
Great.
trying to get more people to do this. It's quite fun. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But Allan, do you want to start by telling us a little about yourself and talk about what's behind you?
Yeah, of course. Well, some of you may know me. I'm Alan Corona. I make bases. And yeah, here's a few of them, if not most of them. I'm just missing a couple. Um, but yeah, pretty much that's my collection. I'm still settling in the new place, so it looks kind of messy. You can see that there are some bodies in there that I'm working on. There's some bodies right here that you can see, but yeah, it's finally my own space, my own studio. It's really nice to have my own, like man cave.
That's awesome. What was the most difficult one to make on that wall?
Out of the whole thing,
Yeah.
it was trying to set up the wall hangers because apparently one of these walls, or if not the whole room, was an addition, so it wasn't like structurally the same as the rest of the house. So the first hanger that I mounted on, as soon as I was just putting the base on, I could see that the screw was coming out, and I was like, oh, this is not gonna hold on. So I had to go to Home Depot and buy the stud finder and deeper, bigger anchors and all that. So it took me quite a few hours. I thought it was gonna be something like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It took me, I think, around 2 hours and three trips to Home Depot.
That's crazy. That must have been cool, like, when you
Yeah.
finally finished it and got to see it.
Yeah.
I bet that was
Yeah.
awesome.
It was, so rewarding because I used to have one rack with 7 bases and the second rack, which was a cheaper one with another 7 bases, but that one was just tilting by itself. It was so cheap that the construction was so poorly made. I was just waiting for that thing to come down like in pieces and then just my bases getting all dented and whatnot. But I was like, okay, I have enough wall. Let's just mount them in.
So freaking cool. What was the most challenging base to make?
So far it's been oh snaps. Aside of the one I made for Mark, it's been this guy. Let me show you. It's called Terminal Radness. And the reason is everything has been hand painted with this was painted with brushes and acrylic paint. For the rest of them, I use acrylic markers, which makes everything so easier, just like drawing on canvas. But you can see that the details, like this guy right here, seems to be like a sticker all peeled out. Same thing with this guy right here, the one that says the cure. It should resemble a sticker that it's been
That's
partially,
crazy.
uh, yeah. So making all the texture, the effects with brushes was really challenging. And on top of that, I didn't add any coat of lacquer on top of it, so it was just some Mod Podge to prevent the acrylic from bleeding out. And it has a lot of dents. It has a lot of, you know, the previous rack just left its marking here, so you can see some of the foam of the rack just because the base was sitting in there. There's yeah this huge mark right here. So yeah, it has been the most challenging after marks just because of the detail. Um, but there was another one for a good friend, the late Tim Ferrick from Dance Gavin Dance. That was a crazy piece of art that David, my friend in Dubai, made. It was sort of like an anime um, style. The front and back was resembling Tokyo, but he added up so much detail, so many small things like windows, like resembling the whole landscape there. It's mainly building. It's mainly streets and nightlife and all that. So it was really hard on me to portray that in the actual base by hand, especially with the tendonitis. And the worst part is when I was done with it, when I buffed it and everything, Tim told me, "What if you relic it? What if you add some distress to it so it looks road worn?" And I'm like, "You don't want to do that to this base. It literally took me weeks to paint it." And he's like, "Nah, yeah, let's do it." So I ended up doing that. It ended up looking really cool, but yeah, sadly we didn't get to see that base play live. But yeah, that was the most challenging aside of Mars and this guy.
That's crazy. So like when you make one of these bases, do you just get like every angle photos of it and then try to copy it, or how do you do that?
I tried to, yeah, for this one, Robert, the late Robert Ortiz, same thing. He also passed away this year. Mark's Tech, he as soon as he got the base from the artist, he took a snap of the front and back, which was perfect. But to get all the information from the sides, like the blink sticker, the terminal radness partial logo, the what's my age again with the mistake, what's my age again, and the rest of the one more time with feeling and all that. To get all this, I had to literally Google Mark's live photos from 2019. Everything that every single place that he toured with this base, I had to gather all the photos and start using Photoshop to enhance the resolution and get a better view. But yeah, it's challenging when you don't have access to the actual thing, which I still don't have access. I asked Mark, I asked Mark to give me some photos of that, the Tim Curtis, the red base, and he never got back to me. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'll get Robert to do it," and up to this day, he didn't.
That's crazy. What does Mark think about your collection?
He likes it. I think he's on the same page with me in regards to the artists, since it's not my work, it's not Mark's work. It's something that he hired our artists to make for him. Um, I agreed that I was never gonna sell anything with any sort of art with, and I think he's just cool with that. I think if he wouldn't have agreed with that, or me making the basis ever since the beginning, he would have told me, you know what, don't do that. I want to be the only one owning a piece like this, and it's cool and whatnot, but just stop doing that. But no, he was just challenging me. He was like, when are you gonna make Crayola? When are you gonna make this and that? And I was like, okay, you're asking me to do all of them. And up to this point, I only have one base left to do, which is the famous Crayola, the black one with the octopus and the bees. I'm
That's
working on it though.
it's gonna be hard.
Yeah, yeah, especially because the artist didn't share a lot of photos. Mark didn't share a lot of photos. It's just what I can find on the web, and it's not the best quality, but I'm gonna do my best on it. And I think that's gonna close a chapter on the building life of Alan Corona.
That's crazy, dude. The white and black one is just like so eye catching because it looks like it's a cartoon.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
so crazy.
The artist Joshua Vides or Vides, I don't know how he pronounces his last name or his artist name. Uh, his main thing is just creating everything in 2D. So he had a lot of exhibits in LA and well, pretty much everywhere in the world. And everything he does is just paint everything white. And whenever there's like a curve or a contour on the wall or in the ceiling, he just traces a line with the most flat or matte black paint that he can find, so you don't have any reflection from the light on any angle, and it gives you that impression that you're looking at something that is only 2D. You don't have the perspective, the depth. And he also painted some shoes for LeBron, I think, and I think he messed them up. There's a YouTube, I'll send you the link for it, and he's like, "Oh dude, like I think I just effed up this shoe," and he's like, "Well, I don't think he'll notice, but yeah, that video is pretty cool." He's just literally narrating the whole story behind it while he's just, grabbing a marker pen and just painting some shoes. And it's a rat. It's rad to see that he can come up with something crazy that for most of us it will take, you know, a long time to make. And he just created it in 10-15 minutes of telling his story and talking to a camera, and that's it.
That's so freaking nuts.
Yeah.
Dude. So I know you made one of these. My wife just texted me because she's watching, and her favorite color is yellow. Why don't you make one of the yellow AOL session bases for yourself?
For myself, the most sincere answer to that would be because I have already too many bases. I do have one yellow base right here, which is going to be sold soon. I'm going to list it. Um, and I wanted to, same thing with the groundskeeper wheelie, the one that has the plaid or plaid pattern. I want to make one, but at this point, I'm just running out of time. I got so many projects. I got a huge project that I can't say anything about until maybe next week. It's still a secret for for everyone's sake, I can't say anything, but that project is gonna take most of my time outside of my day job. But yeah, I wish I could have a lettuce. I wish I could have the AOL. I definitely wanted a groundskeeper wheelie, but you know, I'm gonna run out of the room in here, and my wife's gonna tell me, you know what, you can just keep your collection in the garage, and then you can just sleep with your bases in there.
I have let's see. I want to say I have 8 guitars, 2 basses, an acoustic bass, an acoustic guitar, and the Mark Hoppus one's my final one. My wife said I'm done after that.
Yeah,
So I'm like, yeah. But that's also been my holy grail. I have had the opportunity to buy, the classic green one, or the blue one, or the white one, or the black one, and I've turned down every single one for the last 13 years, waiting for the pink one. And like I told
yeah,
you when we first started talking, I bought one from a dude on Reverb for $1,400, and he took my money and ran.
yeah,
So yeah, so I'm really waiting for that. That is, I'm ready to buy it. We have the money in the account, just waiting for that email.
yeah. Yeah. And like I said, let me see what I can do. The pink base, the Jaguar that they released is so good. I'm gonna hang it right next to my pink because that's the one I made, and this is the one that Hi My Name Is Mar released, and the one that along with Fender they did the whole run and everything. I'm just gonna hang them together so you can see the comparison between them. I'm gonna kick this box out of the way, but yeah, there they are, my two babies.
That is so freaking cool. So how does the Hi My Name Mark base, like that pink shade, compare to the like filling this base?
Well, it's quite different because the one I used, since I don't have access to a spray booth or spray guns, I only use automotive paint or acrylic paint, and I use rattle cans. So I rely a lot on the manufacturer's stock and as well weather conditions. If it's too cold, like right now where I moved in, uh, it's getting super cold at night, and I'm pretty sure in December, November, I'm not going to be able to spray at all during the day. It's going to be so humid that if I even try to spray, the paint is just going to crack. So, having said that, the fluorescent pink that I bought was from Krylon, and it's a really, good paint for what it's worth. I mean, each can is going to cost you like $7, but the one from Hi, My Name is Mark, the one that Fender uses is, straight up. I think it's automotive paint as well. But yeah, they do have the spray with the spray guns. They have controlled environment and whatnot, so there's no speck of dust. There's nothing wrong with them. Um, and for the clear coat, same thing. They use polyurethane. I use poly as well. Only car poly, the one that you can buy to repair any fender or any nick garden that your car may have. Um, Aside of that, pretty similar. You can see that there's just slight differences between the neon pink and the hot pink, as Fender calls it. This one is more reddish, more leaning towards the magenta side, and that is just more. It has more blue on it, if you will.
That's freaking cool. I'm super excited to get one. So sick. How does the
Yeah.
Jaguar compare to the Jazz, feeling wise and sound?
I find it to be more comfortable. At first, I was just when Mark switched to Jaguars, I was like, "No, you can do this to me, bro." But I just didn't like the shape. I didn't like the non it's not symmetrical, but I didn't like the fact that it had the upper horn and then just had like a lump. And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna have to give it a try. And I made my first one, which was this pink, and I loved it. I somehow it just feels. I think it feels more comfortable. Um, the jazz one, it's don't get me wrong. I love the jazz body over precision, over I don't know, over any other kind of bass. But the Jaguar, aside of looking bigger, it technically is a bigger bass because you don't have the horn gap on the lower side. I thought it was going to be heavier. It somehow feels lighter. It also depends on what kind of wood I use, but I like playing with Jaguars. I like playing with jazzes, but if you would have to ask me, you got to pick one bass to be your signature bass if you're going to tour with a band, it's going to be a Jaguar.
Really?
Preferable, yeah, preferable with a jazz neck. I'm not a fan of P necks. They're too thick for me, but yeah, a Jaguar body will be.
Dang. I would not
Yeah.
that dang, okay, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I had a Squire Jaguar at one time, and one of my friends took it and sold it, but that's the only time I've ever messed with a Jaguar.
Yeah, yeah, like I said, either you hate it or you love it. And after I built the first one, I was like, yeah, I think this is gonna be my base.
That is
Yeah,
so cool. So is the yellow one you're putting for sale like the AOL session one?
yeah, it's definitely gonna be a standard configuration of the pickups, non-inverted, perloid pickguard with a graffiti yellow finish, jazz body with a precision neck. The only thing is, it's not gonna have a Fender neck. There's, I don't know, most of the people should know by now that Fender has some issues regarding rosewood, and they're not able to bring rosewood into the States, at least for a while. So that's what they've been using Paul Ferro for most of the builds, and just in certain bases, certain instruments, they can use rosewood, but most of it is because of the how do you call that? The special reserve, the stock that they had of rosewood, but yeah, I don't think Fender's gonna release anything with Rosewood in the time in the coming time.
Dang. Is it because all the Corona stuff and everything, and not being able to import stuff?
Yeah, exactly. Import export. I don't know what the deal is with Rosewood. So for anyone that uh well, the last orders that I got and people wanted, if anyone wanted Rosewood, the next that I was offering was they were all parts. The light's not going to help out a lot, but you can see that all parts is licensed by Fender. It has the same shape. I just out of the headstock decal, which you can barely see that there's a decal in there. Same thing. I love the satin finish in the back, the gloss finish. I can use any kind of tuners that you want. I can do the lockings, standard, vintage, and they do have rosewood. So that's why I offer this option. On top of that, it's cheaper. Well, not cheaper. It's more affordable than using an actual Fender.
That's freaking cool. So I thought this would be the perfect day and interview to whip out my played like Hoppus T-shirt my wife got me for my birthday.
Yes, yes, I love it. I love it.
And then my pink Puma hat.
Yeah, of course.
Yes,
Yes,
sir. So that's
it's pink,
awesome, man.
pink for life, man. Pink for life.
Absolutely. At work nobody gets it because I work at an 18-wheeler store, and I have like a pink mouse. My work hat, I got this like special edition neon pink hat, and they're like,
Yeah,
"You're a dude."
exactly.
Good old
Yeah,
country Texas dudes.
I get it all the time. My shoes, they're black, but they have really bright pink accents on it. And same thing on my desk. I have a huge desk mat that it's purple with pink accents, and everyone's like, "Dude, like this is your wife's." I'm like, "Nah, this is all mine. I like pink."
Just how
But
I am,
yeah,
man. I'm all about the bright colors, and Lindsay, like all her clothing's black,
yeah.
and
Well,
it's I don't get it.
yeah. I think for shirts, at least everything I wear is black. Pants or shorts, like I can wear whatever. Shoes, I just got these guys right now, and you'll agree.
Oh,
I
dude.
I just got them because they had pink in here. Aside of that, I was whatever with the color. Maybe because of the teal, because it kind of resembles the Untitled album, the teal and the pink.
Yeah.
But uh, I mean, the shirts they do have to be black. I can wear white shirts or any other color just to sleep or just when I get a haircut. That's it.
That's crazy. Yeah, I have to. This is like one of the few times where I wear black t-shirts. I always have to be neon colors. My
Yeah,
philosophy in life is it's hard to be depressed when you're surrounded by bright colors and the beauty of
yeah, exactly. I can see now the lights are just popping up in the screen.
life. So, oh no, this is Hayden's room. This isn't mine. This is my film guy's room.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah.
Got
My,
it.
my
Got it.
room, dude. I got all my guitars, and then I have the three different colors of the Plus 44 album, and then the one
Uh-huh.
harp starts beating single on my wall framed. My Plus
Nice.
44 is my favorite, man. I hate to say it, but Plus 44 is like my jam. I like that more than Blink.
Dude, no, dude, plus 44 is like literally legit. I mean, whoever tells you that plus 44 is not as good as Blink or that, I don't know. There's a lot of people that, I mean, mostly people know that you have to lean towards someone. You gotta lean towards either Travis or Mark or Tom or Scott or Matt, if you will. But just as I always have stated, I'm Team Mark. Like ever since the beginning, Mark has been the guy that inspired me to play bass. While I was already taking classes to play guitar, and I was like, oh, dude, like Mark plays bass. Okay, F the guitars. I'm gonna start playing bass. There's a lot of people that they try to lean towards Tom, and they always say Angels and Airwaves is the best, and Boxcar Racer is the best, and Plus 44 is nowhere near, the Tom side projects. I'm just like, dude, like, nah, like Plus 44 is so great in so many ways, like melodically, the music, the lyrics, everything's so good, and yeah, like,
Dude, it's
and anyone,
freaking nuts. Like my favorite song is "When Your Heart Stops Beating," but I
yeah,
love their lyrics. The future is just the past with the lights on. That is
yeah,
so deep and like freaking right in your soul, dude.
yeah, exactly, yeah. What's damn it. Pretty much that the whole lyrics for that song are just like so iconic that you can relate to everything. Um, I don't know, the whole album is just amazing. I could say that also when your heart stops beating is my favorite song of the album, but it's one of the few albums that I can listen to the whole thing without skipping any song.
I'm the same way. I love that album. How I remember when I started, man. It was so my parents forced me to do high school band and middle school band, and I hated it. And I got out towards the end of my sophomore year, and I played trombone. I remember I was cleaning my room one day. I didn't know who Blink was or anything. I knew the name, but I didn't know them. And I remember first I was feeling this that came on, and I'm like, "Whoa, the pink bass!" And I'm like, "This is awesome!" And
Yeah,
I love Mark's voice. And then the next song on this playlist was "When Your Heart Stops Beating," and that was such an impactful moment for me. I'm like, "Dude, I want to do this. This is awesome." So
yeah,
I kind of kept it to myself, and then my youth pastor's son, his name's Jacob. He's like, "Hey, dude, we need a bass player for a worship band. You want to join? You like Mark Hoppus?" And I remember they handed me this bass, and I was playing it on this little, the Line 6 guitar amp.
yeah.
And I went up and down each string one time, and he played. I don't know if you know, it's called Brandon Heath. "Give Me Your Eyes" is their worship song, and I was picking it up like that. I never touched bass in my life, and I was playing it perfectly. I'm like, this is freaking sweet. So the church let me take home the bass, and I took down this Line 6, and it was a fretless bass, which was the biggest mess up I've ever done in my life, learning bass on a fretless bass.
Yeah,
And I just freaking fell in love with it, dude. So then I remember when I got out of high school, I had to like kind of like, okay, well, I'm playing Christian music, but do I want to do alternative music? And I pursued the Christian route.
hmm,
I didn't like do what I wanted to do, but I was pretty markedly successful in what I did. And it's just bass, dude. I love guitar. I love the stuff you could do with guitar, but just bass. And just
yeah,
this entire time, my main goal was get a pink Mark Hoppus bass. That's like a personal goal for myself before I die. And I'm
yeah.
so free. I was telling Hayden, dude, I'm like, dude, we gotta, even though it's not car related, we gotta film an episode because I'm gonna cry like an ugly girl, guaranteed. I'm gonna ugly girl cry when I open it. So
No, dude, trust me. When I opened well, I technically didn't open the box here at home. Dylan was kind enough to tell me, "Hey, do you want to just take your base whenever you do the quality inspection?" I was like, if I can do it, like, of course I'll take it home. So, and the first run, I opened a few boxes. There was only one that we couldn't ship out because it had a massive. There was a detail with it in the finish. It was like not even dust. It was something underneath the clear coat that we tried to scrub off and it didn't come out. And on top of that, there was something wrong with the nut. So I told Dylan, you know what, you can ship this out, but the customer, whoever bought it, has to take it to a luthier or a repair shop, and they're gonna charge him at least $100 just to repair. I think the nut was not properly slotted, and on top of that, there's an issue with the finish. If you want to risk it, you can just ship it and hope that it's not someone that is gonna play with it, that is just going to hang it. They won't even notice, but it's not the right thing to do. So ever since that first run, Dylan and I were really straightforward with each other. Like, do you want to send this one out? It has a tiny speck of dust. And when we were just trying it, it just came up. Like, it was not like dust per se. It was more like a smear. Like what happened with my base that you hang it in the rack for so long, you just got to use your nail and scratch it out. And that's it. Um, so Dylan and I were just going over so many bases in the second run. I think we opened, they had 7 pallets of bases, and out of each pallet, we opened 6 to 10 bases out of each pallet. So it took us a whole day just to inspect most of the bases. Out of the second run, there were 3 that they had to stay home that we couldn't ship them. One of them, same thing, had a faulty neck. 2 of them had they had issues with the neck, So we're like, no, you can send this out. And yeah, Fender's being held accountable for all that. Apparently they're gonna send replacements and whatnot. But um yeah, well, when I got my bass, I mean, I already saw it when I did the inspection. I was like, okay, I didn't pick the best one, and that wouldn't have been fair. But I was like, okay, out of the five that I opened and out of the five that I inspected, and they're good, just randomly give me one. And he was like, okay. I closed the boxes and all that. He's like, yeah, take this one, and I just brought it home with me.
That's so
But yeah,
cool.
yeah,
What's it like to like be like connected like that now and helping them put out all this stuff?
it's great. I feel super honored that that I can text Dylan anytime. Same thing was with Robert. Robert was the nicest guy that you could ever meet. I think thanks to, or because he was also, from Latino heritage, we had so much chemistry joke wise. Like he would send me some stuff on Instagram, like Mexican jokes, and I will get them. And same thing when I was, on vacation in Mexico, I will send him jokes or videos or whatever, and he will just get them. So Robert was such a great person that if you get a chance to talk to him, it was just like if you were talking to your best friend. Like he was not he didn't have that rock star status, even though he was Mark's right hand. And same thing with Dylan. We know that Dylan is the brand ambassador for Hi, My Name is Mark, and he's been friends with Mark and Tom ever since high school. And you talk to him, and he's just the nicest guy. Like every time I go to see him, I just bring donuts, and he's like, "Dude, like you really brought donuts?" Yeah, and we start just feasting on the donuts. So he's just super cool. I can text him, and he'll be, we can talk of everything aside of music, aside of Blink. Like, hey, dude, how's your family doing? This and that. And same thing. Like if he has any question regarding the bases, he can always text me, and it's just more. It feels more like a friendship now instead of like talking to famous people. And same thing with Mark. I think when I started getting to know him at a more personal level, instead of try to address him as a star that he is, I think he was more comfortable me, talking to him as a friend, and we always had that mutual respect, that bonding that always made everything so easy. So it's really nice. Making all the bases brought me the opportunity to talk to Mark, to get to meet Dylan, Robert, uh, Tim Ferrick, and now I'm also really good friends with Ian from Newfound Glory, and you know I mean, it's just like talking to friends. I think if you get to do what they do for a living, like if you like to go touring the whole country or the world with your band, I think the least you want to do is being treated like like people worshiping you. I think they just want to be approached as a human person, and get you to talk to them before the show, to grab a drink, to chill with them instead of like talking about music. How do you do this? How do you do that? What about this album? This and that. No, I think they also want to share what's going on with their lives. Like we know that Florida right now it's a wreck, and we know that Buffalo is from Florida. So I texted Ian this morning like, "Hey, dude, hope you're doing great," and started talking for a while, and I think that's the kind of relationship that they'll expect from anyone that they consider a friend.
See, and like for me, so like when I started doing bass, my first mentor. Do you know the band Forever the Sickest Kids?
No,
So
doesn't ring a bell.
they were really big in Vans Warped Tour. They were like on the like main stage. But the guitar
Okay.
player and singer was my first mentor, and then my second mentor that I'm kind of on and off with now, but we're still really good friends, is Blake Shelton's bass player.
Okay.
So I kind of feel that, and that's what both of them told me. Is like when they met me, I was like, "Oh my god, it's crazy!" And
Yeah.
you got you like normal people, and that's one thing I like about doing this with Hayden. And I've told Hayden this multiple times. Is Hayden's 20 and I'm 29, so we have a pretty big age gap. And like I
Hmm.
had to tell him who Yellow Card and Blink 22 was. He didn't even know. And so when we're doing these interviews with people that like are pretty high profile, he has no idea
Hmm.
who they are. So he's just like, "Oh, okay, cool, whatever." So
Yeah, it happens. Trust me, it happens. Um, yeah. Another thing that I want to share is that I just a couple months ago, I got a text from you probably know him, Brian Wallace. He has like a massive collection, or at least a massive knowledge of guitars from Tom DeLonge.
Mm-hmm.
And he just launched a podcast. I think it's called Gear 182. And
Yeah.
he, along with Stefan, they started talking about, specs on the guitars and whatnot. And he texted me. He's like, dude, like Jeff is selling Tom's gear. Are you interested in anything? And I was like, dude, like who, Jeff Pereira? Yeah. And he's also gonna reach out because they're gonna ask you to do something. I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, like a couple hours later, I got a text from Jeff. He told me about what he needed from me, which I can say I almost filled it out. And he was like, okay, so we're gonna get rid of some of Tom's gear. We're gonna get rid of a 28 guitar rack. Are you interested in that? I'm like, yeah, like I want it. So he texted me the address. I ended up going there. I asked a friend to help me with his pickup truck. And when we got there, my friend is like, dude, this is Tom's house. I'm like, no, no. He's like, yeah, this is where Tom used to live. And I was like, you're kidding me. And yeah, I was talking to Jeff, and he's also, the most down to earth guy. And he was telling me, yeah, Tom used to live upstairs. The whole lower level is just a studio garage, and they used to record everything, Angels and Airwaves in here. So yeah, you're sitting in the mecca of Angels and Airwaves, and it was so, like mind blowing being in that room. You can even smell the music in there. Well, it was mainly just sweat, but you can smell it
Yeah.
still. Uh, and yeah, I got the guitar rack that barely fitted in the truck. I'll send you some photos as well. It barely fitted in the garage, so I managed to move it around so it's not on the way. 28 guitars. My wife told me, "What are you gonna do? Because you only have 14 guitars. Are you gonna build 14 more so you can sleep in the garage?" And that's where the joke came from. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna, whatever I'm working on with, I'm just gonna leave it in the garage. I don't have to, like probably this mess is gonna go downstairs soon.
That's cool, dude. I have a
Yeah.
lot of those moments doing this channel, man. Like, we have we've done the 1989 Batmobile, which was a very surreal experience to drive that. We got access to one of the first Hummers, like the new ones, so I got to drive that, which was crazy with the crab rock mode.
Nice.
We got one of the first Ford Lightnings, so we got to drive that. I'm really excited for the Tesla truck to come out, so I could compare the three of them. But we're
Yeah.
getting higher end cars, and it's really surreal because, like, for me and Hayden, like, we use them in video games, and to have them in front of us and to actually be able to drive them. And one of my favorite things to do on this channel is film these videos with Hayden, and then go home and buy the car in the game and compare it. And be like,
Hmm.
huh. But it's really cool, and it's really surreal to see these cars you normally only see in magazines or videos, and they're freaking in front of you. You have the keys, you can get in and
Yeah.
out of them. And it's such a weird feeling. I don't think I would get used to. It's
Yeah.
so weird, and like working with the people we've worked with, and we have like the holy grail of cars coming up soon. We've been working on it for like 4 months now. We got the green flag about 2 months ago, and we'll just wait for the guy to text us. But I mean, it is like I don't know how we're gonna top this one. It's like sub like $8 million. So it's we're
That's
really
insane.
excited for that. And then working with Aaron Shelby, Kara Shelby's grandson, we did an interview with him
Mhm.
and just kind of hit it off. And now he's a close friend of ours. So that's
Nice.
cool. And then Shelby posted us, and that's really because my dream car was a Shelby. So it's really cool that all this
Hmm.
Shelby stuff is happening. And we've done with this guy here in Lubbock. He has three super rare Shelbys, so I got to drive all these Shelbys, and it's weird. Life has a weird way of working out that at the end of the day.
Yeah,
And the fact we're able to do
dude.
this from Lubbock, man, is unreal.
Exactly, dude. Now you're talking about Shelby's and all the cars. I think I was telling you before that I'm not such a big, car aficionado, at least not really into American muscle. I was always more into the WRC, and
Yes, sir.
I was really into it, but a while ago, I can only remember a few of the drivers. I remember that Sebastian Loeb was barely starting his career, so we're probably talking about 15 plus years. Yeah,
Mid
dude, like,
90s, late
yeah,
90s, yeah.
exactly. Yeah, late 90s, I think. There was a German team that was like my favorite. They were driving French cars, the Peugeots.
Yep.
Dude, those were I can't remember his name. I'm always dude Gronholm. Yeah, his last name was Gronholm. Dude, those are the kind of races that I'm always, really, really willing to spend hours just watching and watching. And when I was still living in Mexico, they used to go to one city that was probably 4 or 5 hours away from Mexico City. And I always wanted to go there, but I
I've
never
been
got
to
the time in
two,
life.
dog. I've been to two. I went to
Oh,
X
shut
Games
up.
in LA in 2010 in the Coliseum, and then they had one
Yeah.
at Texas Motor Speedway. And it was so cool. And it was cool, man, because it was right before Dave Mara killed himself. So it was like the last
Hmm.
thing he did before he died. I got to meet him,
Yeah.
got his autograph. Bucky Lasik was there, so it was like a bunch of all the sports people. It was cool, dude. And then so I make him block at the Coliseum. We just
Hmm.
happen to walk in front of him, and my uncle's like, my cousin's like, hey, this guy's really into sports. Would you want to take a photo with him? Not knowing who he was, and I told him afterwards. And he goes, oh man, I'm awesome. And then I met him again in Texas, and he actually gave me one of his tires off his car the second time I met him.
No
So yeah,
way.
dude. So I sat outside for the last 10 years, so it doesn't look the best. But me and Lindsay actually just brought it from Dallas to here last week. But yeah, so I got
Nice.
that. I got all their signatures. My favorite one, though, and always has been, is Chris Atkinson from the Subaru team. I don't know
Yeah.
why
So,
I like Chris Atkinson, but Chris Atkinson's been my guy. And I like. I remember on Instagram I said this in one of the last interviews we did. So it was, oh man, I want to say it was 2017. It's late at night, man. I get this notification. It's like, hey, Chris Atkinson liked your photo. I'm like, what the hell?
dude,
So, dude, I look at
that is
it.
so right.
This picture of my ex girlfriend. I'm like, I don't know if I should like that. Or be like, wait. And it was from like 10 weeks prior. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that one. But
Dude,
yeah,
that is so rad.
it's pretty cool. Yeah,
So
so
crazy.
that was fun. But yeah, dude, Subaru's team. We actually have. So do you know like the classic Lancer rally car, like the red and white and black one? It was like from the late '90s. It was
I
Mitsubishi
think so.
team.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have one of those in Clovis that wants us to film with them, and he bought it from the
Nice.
Mitsubishi team. So we're super excited for that.
Yeah, you gotta send me some photos of that one.
Oh, absolutely. So, all right, Alan, do you want to do one of those
Yes.
intermissions we talked about really quick?
Yes. 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 Let's go for it.
Okay, let me mute all this. Boom. But yeah, no, dude, rally is the only sport I like. I could not tell you a thing about football. I can't tell you a thing about anything. I just rally, man. It's
Yeah.
honest to God, people are still like me and Lindsay when we got married, right? My favorite color is blue. Her favorite color is yellow. So our colors were blue and yellow, you know.
Yeah.
So we
Of
got
course.
her mom and her got freaking Subaru World Rally cookies that literally looked like the car that they
Oh.
got professionally done for the
Yes.
wedding, and then they did it again for my birthday, and it's just the two things people distinguish me with is the pink base and the Subaru World Rally car. Those are like my two
Of
like
course.
things that when you think Sean Richard, you think those two things.
Yes.
So
Dude, like, oh, dude, I was gonna say something and I completely forgot. Like in the animation, I was like, okay, I gotta tell him this, but nope, it just flew away. Like, this is life. I got my daughter making a tantrum downstairs, and I got my older son just got home as well. So, oh my God.
how old's your older son? I only knew about your daughter.
Yeah, my daughter is 5. She just turned 5 2 weeks ago, and our oldest kid is 12.
That's crazy. Me and Lindsay want to have kids somewhat soon, and I'm kind of like, I'm the youngest of 5, and I have 10 nieces and nephews, so I feel like I'm kind of prepared. But at the same time, that's always been my main goal, though, dude. My whole life, I wanted my own family.
You said you were 29, right?
Yes, I just turned 29.
Yeah, like I think you're in the perfect age, like if you want to start trying, because it's not like, oh, I want to have kids and I'm just gonna jump into it and boom, out of the sudden you're gonna have a kid. Like I remember that I was 29 when I met Melissa, my wife, and before then I didn't want to have kids. I was like, no, I don't. Who wants to bring a kid into this world? But I met her. our oldest kid is 12, so it's not it's a son. And I was like, okay, I met him when he was 4, and I was like, okay, I think I wanna have a kid because I missed the first 4 years of his life, and I want to experience that with my own kid. And we got married and all that. She was like, okay, we're not gonna even start trying until we do everything, according to plan, get married and whatnot. The party went through, and we're like, okay, it's hunting season. Dude, it almost took a year for us to get pregnant. And I was just like, dude, like how long? When is this gonna happen? It's not even fun. It's really stressful. It mentally drains you, but yeah, I think 29 is a really good age to start. You still got your patience when you're in your 30s. Like I'm 37, my daughter is 5, and she's just literally I'm running out of fumes and patience. I'm just like, like I told my wife, you know what? You gotta deal with it right now. I'm busy. I told Melissa's mom also lives with us, so she's like, they're both on nanny duty helping me while I'm doing this.
That's awesome. It also is really scary because I have a lot of friends, and I don't think any of my family has, but I've had a lot of friends that had to do IVF, and I had one
Yeah,
friend that like they did a bunch of rounds of IVF, and then they called it quits after the third one, and then they got pregnant, and then lost the kid like midway through. And I know I saw how much it shattered
yeah,
them, and I'm like, ugh.
yeah.
So it's just
Um,
hard.
sorry, I just got a text. I'm gonna respond real quick.
No, you're good.
All right. Yeah, same thing. I got one of my hockey teammates. He They tried for over a year, I think, and even when they got pregnant, when it was successful, the whole IVF process, it was it wasn't. Perhaps it was. I'll just say that it was a risky pregnancy because they had to take so many precautions. And thank God, their kid is just like a super healthy, beautiful kid, beautiful chubby baby that you just want to grab his cheeks. And I saw the struggle that they went through, while trying to get pregnant, especially, going through all the process of the IVF. And yeah, it's hard. And I can even imagine like if you lose a baby throughout pregnancy, or I don't know, any miscarriages, just I'm assuming it has to be devastating for the parents, and sometimes even discouraging to keep on trying because yeah, there's this say that no parents should bury their kids. And yeah, I can't even picture it. It's just like nah, nah, not even fun.
Mm. So, oh man. All right. Well, let's address the elephant in the room. What was it like meeting Mark Hoppus?
Dude, like, okay, am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
You can do whatever you want, man.
Dude, okay, so I shitted my pants really, really bad, and almost literally, because I didn't even know that I was gonna meet him. The whole story, the whole background of it is I made the base that he streamed with, but he had no idea I was gonna make that. It was supposed to be a birthday present, but with COVID and all that, I was relying on Robert to hand off the base, and it was gonna be something like a FaceTime call or something like, hey dude, like I made this for you, boom, enjoy. But out of the sudden, I was working on a Music Man project on an Ernie ball, the purple one that most of you have seen now. And I made a pick guard that fitted precision pickups, not the classic Ernie balls. And I sent them a photo like, hey dude, like, are you interested in this? Because I made it and I have no project for it. And he's like, yeah, I just got vaccinated. I can give you an address, or you can just, as soon as you get your vaccines, we can meet up. And I was lucky. We were lucky to be on the first run of vaccines because of my daughter. She's in the spectrum, so since we're the primary caregivers, ever since March of 2021, we got the vaccines. And yeah, I told Mark, okay, 2 weeks, I'm done, I'm good. We waited the 2 weeks, and on a Wednesday on Discord, he said, "Oh yeah, I am meeting up with Allan this Saturday." And I was like, "Well, it's funny because you haven't told me anything. Like, which Allan are you meeting with?" And I texted him like, "Hey, dude, like, I just read that you're meeting up with me on Saturday. Where do you want to meet up? What time?" No answer. Thursday, same thing. Like, what time you want to meet up? Where? No answer. Friday came, and I was still working at home, so I was just like, the worst anxiety, the worst feeling. I was like, okay, dude, like, sorry to be a pain in the butt. I just want to know where and what time should I, meet you, just to give you this. And the whole idea was to hand over the pick guard that I made for him and the base. So that was a perfect plan. But he didn't respond like until 3 hours later. He was just like, 2 o'clock, this address, be there. And I was like, okay, cool, thanks. So you can imagine that Saturday morning came and I was just driving to LA, which from San Diego to LA to Anaheim is like an hour and a half, 2 hours. But from Anaheim to Hollywood to Beverly Hills is probably another 2 hours. So we were getting there like barely at 2 o'clock. We got there with 5 minutes to spare. There were no babysitters, so we had to bring Zoe with us. Our oldest kid was with his dad, so we were lucky there was only one kid. But the first thing that we did was like we got into the coffee shop that he asked us to meet up with him, and Melissa was like, "Okay, I gotta use the restroom. Okay, go." 3 more minutes, and then she came out and like, okay, now I gotta use the restroom. So I was just washing my hands after doing what I had to do, and I got a text on my watch, and Melissa was like, he's here. And I was like, oh dude, like I could feel my heart beating so hard, and I was just like hyperventilating in the bathroom. I was like, okay, don't pass out. I know you're gonna pass out. Don't pass out. Don't cry. The only thing that I was really worried, that I was really concerned, was not crying. So I got out of the bathroom and I started walking, and yeah, I saw this massive guy, like super tall, talking to my wife, and I was like, "Oh crap, that's him!" And yeah, in the midst of COVID and everything, I was just like dumb enough to just reach out with the elbow, and we did the elbow bump, and he was super cool. He didn't, push back or anything. He was like, "Yeah, what's up, dude?" And started talking for a little bit in there. The coffee shop was packed, so we started walking, and he's like, "What do you got in there?" And he saw the case because he wasn't expecting me. He wasn't expecting my wife and my daughter with a massive case, He was just expecting me handing over a piece of plastic. And he was like, "What do you got in the case?" I'm like, "Oh, your pick guard." He started laughing, and we started walking towards his car. And like any regular person, like, instead of try to ask for a table or something, he's like, "Yeah, let's just go to my car." He laid down the base on the sidewalk, and right next to his car, he kneeled down on the street and he opened it. He was just mind blown. He read a card that David, the guy that made the art, he wrote for him. So I just printed it out, and he was reading it, and he's like, "Dude, this is incredible." And I was like, "Dude, like, I'm so happy you like it. Hopefully you get to play it someday." And it's just like a small token appreciation for everything you've done for us, throughout the pandemic, throughout 2020. He was the most approachable guy on Discord. He used to stream, and he never did it for a profit, because I know that for many bands, that's their income, that's their job. They rely on that to like pay bills and whatnot. And Mark was just doing it because he wanted to be active with people, with the fans, and he never asked for anything. He was just like, if you want to and if you can donate, it's not even for him, it's for the children's hospital in Los Angeles. So I was like, dude, like, this is the kind of thing to do. Like, I know you got a lot of time because we're on the lockdown, but he could easily just not talk to any of us. And he just decided to spend 1 hour, 2 hours a day talking to us, playing video games with us. I was like, dude, like, you can't ask for anything else from this guy. So that was the whole reason behind it. That's why I did it. And yeah, when I met him, I literally shat my pants. It's so bad. That, just to answer your question, that's what happened. I was just walking and I was just leaving a trail of poop.
That's freaking nuts. That's so cool, dude. I could not imagine that. I hope
Yeah.
they tour again. Me and my wife have already decided that, like, no matter what the cost is, we're doing meet and greets.
I'm sorry. I didn't.
I said I hope they tour again because me and my wife have already decided no matter what the cost is, we're doing meet and greets.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I think whenever you reach certain status, and you start doing meet and greets, and you take the time to you take some time to spend with your fans, if you will. But if you start creating that friendship, that bond between the people that is buying your record, that is buying your music, it just tells a lot about who you are, about your personality, about your, I don't know, because there's a lot of people that literally they can set up the meet and greet before the show, but if you try to take a photo with them, you gotta be certain distance from them. You cannot hug them. You can't do anything. And I missed the opportunity of meeting him in 2019 before the pandemic, um, on the Anima of the State tour, on the 20th anniversary. I just didn't get tickets for the meet and greet, but they were just like regular people. I remember that there were some girls that they just ran at them, hugged them, and whatnot, and they were cool with that. But I've seen other people that are like, nah, don't get anywhere near me. And yeah, it's a shame that they have that mentality. But
Do you know the band the Rocket Summer? It's one guy. His name is Bryce Avery. He was also big on Warped Tour.
no, I don't think I've heard him
So he's
or heard him.
humongous, and he's my favorite musician, and this is why. He has been doing this for 20 years. He refuses to sign a record label. He makes all his own merchandise, all his own albums, all his own everything in his garage. He's doing Vans Warped Tour, War Tours, and
Yeah.
he makes all the music himself. He takes new, straight out of high school musicians on tour, different ones every single time to give them the tour experience. But
Hmm.
the thing that blows my mind is I met him in 2011, and I walked in with three random people. There was a couple and a random girl, and we walk in,
Hmm.
and I'm not even kidding. He goes, "Oh my god, freaking Julia and freaking Steve! I met you in California in 2007." And then he's like, "Beatrice, I met you at Vans Warped Tour in freaking '08, and you gave me this T-shirt I still have." Like he knew them, and I'm like, "How the heck do you do that?" But yeah, he remembers people. It was the craziest thing to me, like doing that every night in a different town and remembering names and what they gave you and what the date was.
Yeah. Yeah, that's insane. That also tells a lot about, the kind of person they are, because to anyone you can just be some random guy that you met or that you talked to on Instagram, on Discord, or at the show. You can just remember, oh, he had a tattoo, and maybe that's gonna be the something characteristic about him that is gonna make you remember him. But something really funny happened on the sound check of the show that I didn't get to meet Mark. I asked him to sign my booklet of the Enemy of the State, and he just said, "Yeah, toss it over." And I had it in a Ziploc bag with a Sharpie on it. But the stage was like pretty tall, and I had all the PA in front of me, so I decided to toss it, but I didn't want to hit him. So I tossed it with the least amount of force that I could, and it just hit the stage, and it fell between the PA and the stage, which was a concrete stage. So he just looked at it from the stage, and he's like, "You know what? It's gone." And everyone started laughing, and I was like, "Oh shit. Well, you know what? No worries. Yeah, thank you for even trying." But no, some guy, his name is Daniel Rojas. He goes by Fog again. Travis
Mm-hmm.
photographer. He came down. He reached it. He grabbed it. He handed it to Mark, and I was a laughing stock for a little while, but it's a fun memory for me. And when I met Mark, we were walking in Beverly Hills for a while, and I was like, I don't know if you remember this, but in the Enema of the State tour, in the show in San Diego, I tossed my booklet, and dude, he laughed so hard, he genuinely remembered it. He's like, "Oh, you were that guy, that guy," and I was like, "Yeah, that was me." So the same thing, like maybe that was the thing that made him remember me, that I was stupid enough to toss it over and just make a fool out of myself, but he did remember, and that's something crazy
See,
that most of the people they don't even bother, like remember the fans or anything like that.
another person that's done that I've seen is Black Bear. So before Black Bear got really big,
Yeah.
Caleb, the guy that was my first mentor, his photographer and his other student asked me to go to this concert, and it's Black Bear, some random dude, and Mod Sun. And this is before they got really big. This is like 2014 ish.
Okay.
And afterwards, we met up with him, and honest to God, I regret it to this day with everything he's done. But he was the cockiest dude I've ever met in my life, and I had zero interest. We hung out with him the entire night. We went to dinner. I had zero interest. I hate rap music. I'm like, whatever. But I remember the photographer brought her friend, and about 2 hours into the thing, he goes, "You were at this show in Houston. I remember you in the crowd." And she goes, "Holy crap! I was like 10 rows back." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Wow, that's impressive." But yeah, that Black Bear was, even though he was really cocky, but he knew people like that. So after that, I'm like, wow, I kind of respect the guy. That's kind of cool because Bryce Avery was the guy from the Rock Star
Hmm.
before that. I've never seen that before. So
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember I had a similar experience with I don't know if you know this band, Strung Out. um it's a punk rock band. They're from Silicon Valley here in LA, but the bass player, I mean, they've influenced me as well ever since forever. And when I was younger, when I was still living in Mexico City, I used to come just for the shows. Like I would catch a flight, Mexico to Tijuana, then just cross the border, go to the show, spend the night at my cousin's, and then fly back the next day. So I had a collection of tickets, and every single time after the show, they were, those kind of guys that they would jump out of the stage, take photos with you. Do you remember the cyber shots, the Sony cameras? You gotta rely that you didn't end up filling up the SD card or whatever card it was and draining the battery. So I was just like, oh, dude, like I hope I have enough space. On the third show, when I was trying to get a photo with them, the battery died. So it was just like literally trying to pop the flash and it didn't. It was just like acting so randomly. And he would start laughing and he's like, you know what? Next time, dude. And I was like, okay. So when I gave Chris the bass, same thing last year, I was telling him, dude, like I don't know if you remember, but I was the crazy guy that every time after the show, I was telling you, dude, I just came from Mexico City. I just landed and I'm gonna fly back tomorrow. He's like, oh, you're the guy. You're the guy that always just brought the show and brought your own Sharpie and you were asking us to sign it. I'm like, yeah, that's me. That's the same guy. So the same thing. They can tour the whole state. They can tour everything. And maybe he just said it just to, like make me happy or whatnot. But I mean, the fact that they do remember that there was a guy that just flew from another city, like took a 3.5 hours flight just to see them. Sometimes it just means a lot to them as well.
That's pretty cool. Dang.
Yeah.
Well, so I can say this is somewhat car related. What's your dream car, Alan?
Oh, dude, you don't want to get me going.
Let's go.
I'm
Let's
a
have
fan
fun.
of I'm a fan of European cars, and if I would have the budget for it, I would definitely get an Audi R8.
Dude,
Yeah,
yes. Man, we have this
yeah,
yellow one here in town I've been trying to film. It's like a 2020 and it's bright yellow and has the yellow stitching. Oh my. If money wasn't an
yeah,
issue, my dream car is a Shelby. I'd get that before anything. But if money wasn't an
yeah,
issue, I would get a silver R8 or a Ferrari F430. Red with tan
yeah.
interior. Those are like my
You
two
know,
like money
any
items.
anyone could tell you, oh yeah, I'm into Ferraris, I'm into Lambos and whatnot, and yeah, I gotta give it credit. Which one is it that most of the components are handmade, like the actual
Dude,
engine
a lot of
components? Is it
people do that
Lamborghini?
now. No, dude, a lot of people do that. Like the Shelby we did, that was all handmade. Like all, dude, and then they sign it. Like we did a. Do you know what a Corvette ZR1 is?
Yeah,
Okay, so we did one of those, and it's a 50th anniversary. And the guy popped off that blue cover, and it's hand signed because they make it handmade down the line. A
damn.
lot of companies do that now, man.
Damn. And for instance, Audi, everything is so automized. Like the factory, they even for the painting process, most of them they have like these robot arms that they just grab the chassis and they dip it in the paint, put it out, and the different perspectives from building a car. It's just amazing, man.
So the Audi R8, I remember I watched. Do you remember that show How It's Made?
Yeah, of
I watched.
course.
I watched. Did you see the one on the Audi R8?
No, I didn't.
So they make it
I
in
didn't even know that there was one of it.
just straight Audi R8. They make it in one plant in Germany, and they can only produce 12 a day.
I'm gonna look for it as soon
Dude,
as
it's
we're done with
cool.
this.
But no, so one of the cool things, so like when we're doing this, I'm going to be honest with you, and it's terrible. I mean, we're up to like 35 cars now we've done in the last 6 months, so I retained very little information from these videos. But the
Hmm.
Shelby stuff I remember because that's my dream car. But the cool thing I learned about Shelby when I was researching it was we did this 2010 GT500. That was Kerr Shelby's car. Like he made it, he spec'd it. It was his personal car, and
Hmm.
it's one of six in the color combo. It's like one of four with the radio option. It's one of six with the seat option. Like super rare car, has very low mileage. Guy who owns it is
Yeah.
insured as an insurance museum piece. It's not even a car. But the thing I learned was on those generation Shelby's, I don't know if it's all of them, the stripes are hand painted on the line.
No way.
And if you get no stripes or you opt out for black stripes, factory black stripes, they will pay you money because they don't have to pay somebody to do it. So they'll give you a discount on
Damn.
the Shelby. And then the other thing is, they were asked, how long does that take? And their response is, you can't rush perfection. It takes as long as it takes with each car.
Yeah.
So they literally, at the very end of the line, the last part of it, there's literally dudes painting the stripes handmade on the car. And that's
That is
crazy. And the guy, the same guy was telling us, so he has like a 2020 Signature Edition 1 of 10. He was telling us he picked up with Vin Diesel, Nicolas Cage, and Jay Leno. But he was saying they messed up the trunk part of it, and it took him 3.5 months just to repaint the trunk.
Oh my God.
Dude, I'm like, that
Oh
is
my God.
freaking nuts.
I feel bad because sometimes I always try to be straightforward with whoever asks me to build a guitar for them. And I tell them it's gonna take me 3 to 4 months, which is the ideal time if I'm not busy with other builds or whatnot. But ever since I got tendonitis, ever since I got, the whole moving process and all that, I just finished orders that I took in March, and two of those bases, because it was like eight of them, two of those bases I took the order in November, and I was so embarrassed with the customers, well, my friends, because I mean they're friends at this point, that I was like, dude, like I'm so sorry, and they're like, take your time, like we know you're going through a lot of that, but at the same time, I don't want to rush something, knowing that I'm not gonna buff it out the way it should be, or that it's gonna end up, hey babe, it's gonna end up with something that it's not, good, that I wouldn't play, right? That
Yep.
it's if it's not up to my standards, I'm not gonna ship it out. And even sometimes, like I had one of the bases that I sent here to OC, 2 hours from here. After I send it over, the fender decal started peeling out, and I was like, dude, like, okay, just I'll don't even send it back. I'll drive up there and I'll just bring it back, refinished it, and then I send it back. But yeah, it'll take as long as it takes. It's especially when it's handmade. There's a whole process. I don't have a team now that I can even imagine that, all the car manufacturers nowadays, they do have teams, but they probably have that specific person assigned for that hand detail, that even if you try to teach someone else to do it, they're gonna be like, no, we gotta rely on the guy, or maybe they have two guys, but imagine two guys for how many cars that they are building.
Exactly. It's crazy. Like I
Yeah.
remember when I did the Model T video, man. We did a Model T. That was my second video. That was before Hayden was with me. And one of the crazy facts to me about it was the way Ford implemented that was Henry Ford is the inventor of the 5-day, 40-hour work week. He was the first one to do that. Number two, they had it's like conveyor line, right?
Yeah.
Everybody have that could be one nut you put on the car. Cars go by, you screw that one nut on, and that's it.
No
Hundreds and
way.
hundreds of people were on this line, and every single one had one job that they just kept redoing. But the other thing when you worked for Henry Ford is you had to sign a legal binding contract saying when you can afford it, you'd buy yourself a Model T. And that's the only way he would hire you, is because of that. I'm just like, dude, that
So
is nuts.
yeah, it's insane. It's like having NDAs, like non-disclosure, and my God, yeah, I can't even imagine, dude.
It's
It's so insane.
crazy. And like, just like, you made really good money. I forgot what the exact numbers were, but he paid his people were pretty good. But
Hmm.
also, when you're thinking about it, you're doing 40 hours a week, putting one knot on a car. I imagine that gets boring as hell, and you want to shoot yourself in the face.
Yeah, but at the same time, you gotta think about. I mean, we don't know what kind of nut it is or where does it go, what purpose does it have, but all the responsibility that maybe that nut was responsible for something, that didn't work out later on in the run. It's like, people working. I'm also a huge fan of fighter jets and Boeing, Airbus, and
Dude,
whatnot.
so before you move on, so my dad was actually on the design team for the B 2 stealth bomber. I'm actually originally from
Oh,
Torrance, and he worked for them and
okay,
did that. But yeah, so yeah, that's kind of cool.
nice,
Yeah.
nice. So I was watching this documentary on Netflix about Boeing, what happened with the planes and all that, and they were just telling how the quality, the not the quality, but I want to say that the inspection of it just came down in the late 80s, 90s, before everything started going down. And dude, like, it's so, I can't believe that they were so reckless to say, oh, we have a lot of spare, parts from the landing gear. And they don't even bother looking where they go. Like they just decided, okay, yeah, we're gonna call it a day. This plane, or at least this part of the landing gear of the plane is done, knowing that you have spare parts that are not supposed to be there.
Bonus pieces. Yes. It's like
Yeah,
IKEA,
dude, like
baby.
dude, now that we moved here, I ended up with a drawer probably, I don't know, like this big, like, I don't know, like a shoebox filled with, the wood studs and all that, just because there's so many leftovers. I'm like, okay, thank God for IKEA, but at the same time, just like, what am I gonna do with this? I don't like throwing stuff away, but just keeping it for, if I ever need it again.
So my dad, dude, it's actually funny you say that. So, him doing the BT like it's just part of my life. I never really thought like, whoa,
Hmm.
that's crazy till recently. And I asked him, I said, do I've never asked you about it, but like, do you have any crazy stories? And his story he told me was they were making the plane, and as they made it, they would make like 5 feet of it, and they would take that from them, and then they'd make the next 5 feet. So they didn't have the full picture.
Oh,
So he went
nice.
to go pick up this because it was so classified, and he said he went to go
Hmm.
pick up this hood and or this part. Sorry, I'm tired. He went to go pick up this part the size of a car hood,
Mhm.
and he was telling
Yeah.
the person like, "Hey, yeah, dude, we're trying to figure out we're building, but we don't have like an picture or anything." He goes, "Oh yeah, I have it on my computer." So he's like, "What?" So he goes back and tells his friends, and they're like, "Dude, there's no way." And the very next week, Hot Wheels released a B2 Stealth Bomber before it was even released to the public, and
Uh-huh.
they had to push out the press day. And he said that they made this plane. They had a fence, and then everybody was 300 yards back, and then another fence. But when you're really close up to the plane, it's just plywood. It wasn't even the plane, and that was the press day because they had to rush it out because of Hot Wheels.
My God.
Yeah, so pretty crazy, but yeah, that's cool. Trying to think, what kind of car do you drive now?
Right now, I had to slow down with a really base model Jetta because that was the only stick shift that they had at the dealership. I was aiming for a Jetta R line. I did a test drive and everything on an automatic gear. And when I was like, okay, yeah, I'll take it. I saw on your website that you had a wide one stick shift, and they're like, no, we actually don't have any stick shift. Like, I don't even. The lady was kind enough to tell me, I don't even think that we have a neither the Golfs or any stick shift car. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like a Golf, a GTI should be a stick shift. She was like, nope, let me check my inventory. And literally, they got the only stick shift car in the lot, which was buried in the back. They had to move at least 10 different cars just to get it out and out of the parking lot. It was in the corner at the very end. And she was like, do you really want to take this one? It doesn't have the sound system or anything. I'm like, I want this. Like I need a stick shift. I love stick shift. I don't care about the tinted windows. I don't care about the sound system. I do regret it. I don't care about the leather seal. Nothing. I mean, I traded off the comfiness of the R line, the screen, the whatever, the LED lights and all that. I just like my stick shift.
Dude,
And
so
I know that,
good.
yeah, I was gonna say that I know that the technology is gonna go away probably in the upcoming years because um the guys from the dealership, every time I take it to service, they're like, dude, like your car is gonna be obsolete in a couple of years. Are you leasing it or do you buy it? I'm like, I'm leasing it. But yeah, even with the Audis, I'm not a huge fan of the paddle sticks, but that's what I'm gonna get at this point.
Yeah, I got really lucky, man. I got a Civic Si. You know what that is?
No.
It's like so. It's the Civic that's like in the Need for Speed games, the Fast and Furious movie, really big. It's like the race car version of the Civic. And I
Oh,
got
okay,
one
okay,
in
okay.
2018, dude. And it's like you got the racing seats, everything's red
Hmm.
stitching. It got like the racing wheel. It's a 6-speed turbocharged stick shift, and it still gets like 40 miles per gallon, dude. It's stupid,
Oh my God.
stupid, dude. Like when you switch gears, you hear that blow off.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that sound.
Oh, dude, it is stupid how
Love
awesome in every aspect into the reliability of the car. The only thing I don't like about it is in 2018 is the only year they didn't do knobs, so everything
it.
is
Yeah,
touchscreen, and I hate that.
yeah,
But besides
yeah,
that, it's a solid car.
yeah, yeah. I mean, before in my really old days, I was a huge fan of, Hondas and Toyotas, but right now it's just German. I can go with Volkswagen. I can go with obviously Audi. My wife loves BMWs, but I don't know. It has to be a really specific BMW that I like, and I haven't found it yet. Other than that, I would have to go with European. I would go with either. Uh, I don't know if you're familiar with this brand. They're from Spain. They're called Seat, but they're
Yeah.
from the Volkswagen group. That's the car I used to drive before. I bought it in Mexico and I just brought it here. Same stick shift. It was a hatchback, so two doors only. I loved it, and I had to let it go. It was like 46 miles per gallon, so it was really saver. But there's no dealership here in the States. I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna have to let you go, my baby. But I had my phone ride with it.
That's pretty cool. I just sent you a picture of my SI, so you can see it, so you know what
Oh
I'm talking about.
yeah, let me check it out.
And yeah, dude, it gets like close to 40 miles per gallon. It's stupid, that car.
Oh, dude, yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, that's my baby. Her name's Toothless. So I had a white Mustang with blue underlighting, and that's Pegasus. So I want to name that one Hades. And my wife and my best friend and his wife told me I can't name my car Satan, so they all named it Toothless collectively.
Nice, nice.
So yeah, but cool. All right, man. Well, I think that pretty much does it, man. We're almost at 2 hours, so I appreciate your time, Alan.
No, no, no. Thank you. And sorry that I postponed it so long. In between teaching the classes, in between work, and you know, life. I barely had a time. We were all set up for Wednesday, and I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna be able to make it, but Friday it is. Here we are, and I can't thank you enough for having me in the video. I love talking about bases. Obviously, I love talking about Mark and everything, but I also love talking about everything else than bases, like cars. No one else has asked me about cars before, so yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You know about the European cars. You know about the WRC. Dude, it was so much fun talking about that.
Heck yeah, dude. Well, we appreciate you, man, and stay in touch, Allan.
Yeah, same. Anytime, feel free to reach out.
Heck yeah, buddy. All right, man.
Man,
You have a good one.
take care.
See ya.
You too. Bye bye.